What do number one New York Times bestselling author Gabby Bernstein, motivational speaker extraordinaire Eric Thomas, and artificial intelligence and online marketing guru Billie Jean all have in common? I'll give you a second. I'll tell you what. They will all be keynote speakers at Build Your Brand Live in Dallas, Texas, October 20th, 21st, and 22nd. Yes, my friend. This is the event that you don't want to miss. So if you want to see Gabby, Billie Jean, Eric Thomas, myself, Chris Winfield, and other amazing speakers, you better get your booty on over to Dallas, Texas in October. So the best way to get your ticket before they sell out is go to buildyourbrandlive.net and get that ticket for you, and then go get a ticket for a friend and maybe another friend. And I will see you in Dallas, Texas. Go do it now. I dare you. I'm a firm believer that we don't necessarily only have one purpose. I think that we have a lot of different purposes, and some days our purpose changes, and some seasons our purpose changes. And I think that we need to give ourselves more permission, have several different purposes, and not have to find one specific purpose for my entire life. It makes it a hell of a lot easier for me to accept myself for exactly who I am, where I am in that moment.
What if today was the day that you dared yourself to do what you've always wanted? Welcome to the I Dare You podcast. I'm your host, Jen Gottlieb, and together we're going to step outside of our comfort zones and into our best lives, one dare at a time. So come on, I dare you to dive right on in.
Hello, my friend. Welcome to the I Dare You podcast. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. Many of you know, some of you don't, that I do Get Ready With Me every single morning, Monday through Friday. And what that is an Instagram Live where I answer all of your questions live on Instagram while I put my makeup on. I've gotten lots of DMs from you guys that are on the Pacific Coast saying, oh my gosh, it's too early for me. I miss it every time. I'm so bummed. Where are the recordings? And we don't save the recordings. So per request, what we're going to do is take some of the best questions and answers from Get Ready With Me's and put them here on the podcast. So you can hear me answer questions about manifestation, marketing, mindset. We're going to pick all the most powerful questions and answers and put them here on the I Dare You podcast for you. So if you missed a Get Ready With Me, there's a really, really good chance that you're going to hear something that you needed listening to these episodes. So without further ado, here is a sneak peek of a Get Ready With Me. Keep in mind, by the way, if you hear some clanging in the background, it's probably because I'm putting my makeup on and sitting at my vanity while answering these questions. So just envision that and put yourself there and make believe that you are with us doing Get Ready With Me Q&A. How do you get through the shitty days? And what are some tools that you use that help you realign with your purpose when those days get hard? I love this question. You have shitty days. You are not alone. Yana, my husband Chris always says, Yana, you are not alone. I want you to remember that. Just take it in for a second, that if you are sitting here and you're like, gosh, it seems like nobody has bad days and I'm the only one that has bad days, because you're spending a lot of time scrolling social media and looking at people's highlight reels and thinking that everybody's just got the most perfect lives. That is incorrect. People are posting what they want people to see, and that's totally normal and okay. And that's the world that we live in. It's natural for people to want to just share what is great that's going on. If I get into a fight with my husband, I'm not going to put that on the internet. But if my husband and I are on a beautiful vacation and we're having a great time, I'm just going to naturally want to put that on the internet. So it's very, very easy to start to think that you're the only one that's having a bad day or having a bad time or having a tough experience. And it starts to feel very lonely. And here's how I do it. And again, I'm never going to share an answer to a question if it's not my personal experience. And I'm going to give you advice and you can literally take it or leave it. I will share with you what I personally do, how I've dealt with this. And then you can take that as my truth and not anything that you should do, because I don't know exactly what you're dealing with. Because this isn't coaching, this is just Q&A here on Instagram. So I'm going to do my best to give you my personal experience. So when I'm having shitty days, man, I have shitty days a lot. And let me just tell you, it might seem like I'm really positive and happy all the time. And I am, for the most part, very positive and happy when I get onto these lives because you guys light me up. And this is one of my favorite things to do. And I do this after I've worked out. I do this after I've done my morning routine and I'm in a really good place. And yeah, Chris and I always say we work really, really hard to make our lives easy. And what we mean by that is we do all the things. Not all the things, but a lot of the things. Even when I don't want to do them, I'm doing the work, the personal development work that I need to do every day to get me into a good headspace. So it takes work to get into an optimistic mindset. And once you have found the tools that work for you, it gets easier and easier and easier. So I used to be a really, really negative person. And when I was a really negative person, I fell into a really deep depression. And most of my days were quote unquote shitty days. And I felt like every day was bad. And then I just spiraled into a deeper depression. And it was just like, it worked upon itself. And every day was bad. And I would just continue to look at the glass half empty and look at things with a negative perspective. And then I started getting into personal development. And I started dipping my toe into learning about how to have a more optimistic mindset and learning about things like gratitude and meditation and affirmations and tools that you can use to get into a more positive mindset and learning about a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset. And as I started to learn about that and started to implement those tools, I started to train my brain to actually, instead of go to the negative thought, go to the more positive thought. The brain is plastic and the brain can learn. The brain can change and it can morph. And now I am a much more positive, optimistic person than I used to be because I've trained my brain to look for the positive, to look for things that I'm grateful for. It didn't happen overnight. It wasn't really easy. And I still do have bad days where I am just negative and in a bad mood. But now I'm way, way more equipped to be able to deal with those days when they come around. And I snap back a lot faster. So you're asking me what I do when I'm having a shitty day. Okay. So when I'm having a shitty day, first of all, I will acknowledge it. So I used to never want to acknowledge like that I'm having a bad day. I'd be like, just like numb out, just go shop, do something that makes you feel better, eat, do something that's usually destructive that will numb you out from those feelings. And, just the day is ruined, whatever, go into your hole. Or even worse, I would try to just immediately not even acknowledge that I'm having a bad day and just be like, you're not having a bad day, snap out of it. Everything's okay. And like toxic positivity myself. And that's not good either. You want to acknowledge your feelings and you want to acknowledge your human experience. And the more that you can acknowledge, for me, the more that I can acknowledge my feelings and my human experience, it just teaches me that I can deal with hard things. Because when I can sit there and say, I'm having a hard day, this sucks. Well, it makes the next day that might be really good feel a lot better because of the contrast. I'm like, wow, yesterday was hard, but I made it through and now I'm having a good day, right? So you want to acknowledge, okay, I'm having a bad day. This is hard. I'm having a hard time. I'm not feeling it right now. That's okay. Acknowledge your feelings, allow yourself to feel them, allow yourself to say some days are better than others. And that's the beauty of life, because if we didn't have bad days, then we definitely wouldn't have good days because we wouldn't know the difference. So contrast is so unbelievably amazing. So the first thing I do is I say, oh my God, I'm having a bad day. Okay. Now, my friend Gabby Bernstein, who, by the way, is writing the foreword to my book. I haven't announced that until just now. My friend Gabby Bernstein has the Choose Again method. And I love the Choose Again method. And that is basically based on the fact that you can't necessarily choose your first thought, right? So my first thought might be today sucks and it's going to just keep getting worse, and whatever negative tangent I'm going on in my brain will just keep on going. But we can choose the second thought. We can't choose the first one because our brain thinks uncontrollably, just like our heart beats uncontrollably. But I can actually choose the thought that I decide to think as a result of acknowledging that first thought. So what's my second thought going to be? Is my second thought going to be a more positive thought? I would try to make it that. So I acknowledge the thought, wow, I'm having a bad day. I'm in a bad space. This is not good. Do I want to continue to go down that rabbit hole, or do I want to shift out of it? What is a second thought that I can do and an action that I can take as a result of that second thought? Okay, well, maybe I could think of what's good right now. Just for a moment, just try to think of what is good in this moment right now. Well, here's some things that I could be grateful for. I've got eyes that can see. I'm breathing. The people that I love are alive. For me, that might not be for everybody. It might be a different gratitude for everybody. I can hear, I can see, my legs can move. I have an iPhone that connects me to people on the internet. I have a roof over my head. I'm so unbelievably grateful for those things. Okay. When you start to think about things that you do have, you can't necessarily think of things that you don't have. So that's a really powerful tool. So gratitude is the first thing that I try to tap into. Now, if gratitude doesn't work and my mind is still going on a tangent of negativity and it's still just in a loop, which sometimes it gets in one, I'll go and I'll move my body. That is, for me, that works 100% of the time. And here's why. When you move your body, you actually change the state of your physical being, meaning you start to have an increase in serotonin, you start to have an increase in dopamine, you start to have an increase in endorphins, and your body actually starts to change. And you actually start to produce chemicals in your body and hormones in your body that make you feel happy. So I know that if I'm in a bad mood and I force myself to go for a walk, or do a little dance party in my apartment, or go to the gym and lift some weights, or go for a jog, or do 20 jumping jacks, I know that the actual cells in my body are going to start to vibrate at a different frequency. I'm going to start to feel better. So if you move a muscle, often you will move a thought. That's not my quote. I think that's a quote from AA actually, and I really, really love it. And it works every time for me. So whenever I'm in a bad mood or I cannot get into a good state that I want to be in, I always just move my damn body. And it always reminds me, no matter what, that when I move my body, I can change the way that I feel. And it's the most powerful tool. And I've been reading a lot about this. And many of the greatest doctors in the world will tell you that the number one cure for depression is moving your body. I'm not a doctor. Again, I'm not an expert in this, but I know from my personal experience, it doesn't have to be a hard workout. It could literally be a walk around the block, but I always feel better after I move. Okay, now how do I get back in touch with my purpose on those days? Now, here's the thing. We don't necessarily feel alignment with our purpose, even when we're having a good day. I'm a firm believer that we don't necessarily only have one purpose. I think that we have a lot of different purposes, and some days our purpose changes, and some seasons our purpose changes, and some moments our purpose changes. And I think that we need to give ourselves more permission, or at least this is my personal experience, that when I've given myself more permission to have several different purposes and not have to find one specific purpose for my entire life, it makes it a hell of a lot easier for me to accept myself for exactly who I am, where I am in that moment. And the most important thing for me to thrive during the day is to be present in the moment. Because when I'm worrying about what happened in the past, or I'm anxious about what might happen in the future, I get all discombobulated. I can go down a really dark path, and it can get really scary, and I can get really anxious. So I always try to just be present. And so I think about, what's my purpose right now in this moment? What is my purpose right now in this moment? Your purpose today might be completely different than it is tomorrow. Your overall purpose in life might change versus this season to next season. I know mine has. And I want you to just give yourself permission. There's a lot of porn on the internet. Touche. There's a lot of porn on the internet, but there's also a lot of purpose porn on the internet, saying that you need to find your purpose. You need to find one purpose on this planet, and this is the reason why you're living. And that's pretty sad if you only have one purpose, because I know that even in my 37 years of life, I've had lots of different purposes so far. And I like to lean into sometimes the fact that okay, today my purpose is a little bit different. Today my purpose is to take care of somebody else. Today my purpose is to take care of me. Today my purpose is to be a light for these people that I'm speaking in front of. Today my purpose is to be there for a friend. Today my purpose is to, it could change. And so the best way to align with your purpose is to just get really present in the moment. And I'll always go back to movement, and I'll take you right to a wonder walk. Wonder walks are my all-time favorite things to do, to tap in and be more in alignment with who I am in that moment, who I want to be, and who I really am. You can go back to the past, you can be in the present moment, and you can be in your future when you do wonder walks. And you can make a choice when you're doing those wonder walks, what you want to do your wonder walk for. So if I was Coach Nick and I was doing it to realign with my purpose, and let's say you were like, okay, Jen, I believe you. My purpose isn't an overall purpose of life. That's a little too extreme. I'm going to give myself, what's my purpose for today? I want you to go on a wonder walk, which is simply going for a walk, whether it be outside in nature or on a treadmill or around your house or wherever you want it to be, in a park, I don't know, wherever you want to walk, around the mall. And you walk as if you are the person that is completely just present and in alignment with their flow. And like, what makes you feel that way? Is it a certain song? Is it visualizing yourself doing something that you absolutely love? Is it maybe it's talking on the phone with somebody that you absolutely love? Maybe it's doing a voice memo recording while you walk, sharing your coaching skills and like giving advice to somebody and sending it to them. Maybe it's literally just envisioning you as your best self when you remembered when you were your best self in your life. So you're going back in time to a time when you totally crushed it and you were feeling so in flow and you're feeling so on purpose and you're like, this is definitely one of my purposes. Go back in time and walk around the planet as that person, embody that person. We talked about setting the scene yesterday. It's part of my book. And when we're reconnecting with real you and you can go and set the scene, you can sense. So put on a song that really inspires you and brings you back to who you truly are. Maybe a song you listened to when you were a kid. Maybe a song that was your walkout song for a speech that you did and you felt so in flow and in the pocket. Maybe you need to smell a cologne that you used to wear in high school when you were just like on top of your game. Or maybe you need to smell a flower that was at your wedding. I don't know, sense something that brings you back into who you truly are. And then you're going to embody that. And then you're going to embody that feeling and embody that moment. Then you're going to experience being that person again and walk as if you're that person. And then you're going to navigate the planet for the rest of the day, holding on to that feeling that you created on your Wonder Walk. So first, I acknowledge my feelings. Then I use Gabby Bernstein's choose again method. I choose a different thought, and then I choose an action. And usually that action is to move my body. And that movement, whether it be a Wonder Walk or a workout, will usually snap me out of it for a little bit. It doesn't necessarily snap me out of it for the entire day, but it'll snap me out of it for as long as I need it to snap me out of it in order to create some new momentum for that day. And you can easily turn a day around. And the last thing that I'll say is sometimes bad days are just bad days. And what I want you to know is that no matter what, if you're sitting here right now, you've gotten through 100% of your worst days ever. And it's okay to have bad days, because bad days make the good days feel so much better. If you didn't have bad days, you wouldn't know what a good day felt like. And unfortunately, in the bad days, that's usually when we learn the most about ourselves. That's usually when we have the most growth. So if you're having a bad day, maybe you do all the things to try to make it better, but maybe sometimes you just can't make it better. Maybe sometimes you're just like going to be like, okay, I throw my hands up. This is a shitty day. This day is shit. And that's okay. And know that no matter what, that discomfort will end. It's not permanent. The day will end. No matter what, that is one thing that's completely certain. There's not a lot of things in life that are completely certain, but one of the things that is completely certain is the sun will set, you will go to sleep, and you will wake up, and it'll be a new day, and you get to start again, no matter what. So that's a really cool thing to think of. And if you can sit in the discomfort of having a bad day or being in pain or being uncomfortable, and you can just learn how to sit in that discomfort and be okay with, okay, this is a bad day. This is a bad moment. I'm feeling uncomfortable things, but I know that I can get through them. I know that I'm powerful enough to be able to sit through this pain and experience it and get to the other side. And every single time you do that, you become a more confident person. I know that. Because I can think back to all the times when I was unbelievably uncomfortable and I was like, is this ever going to end? This is the worst moment ever. I don't know if I can do this. But I sat through it. And when I got to the other side, I was like, wow, I'm way more capable than I ever thought.
Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the I Dare You podcast. I'm so grateful you chose to spend this time with me, but I'm even more grateful for your future self that you are building one dare at a time. So my first dare for you is to subscribe to the show and then share it with a friend who you think needs to step a little bit more outside their comfort zone and into their best lives. They'll thank you for it. I'll see you next time on the I Dare You podcast.